I grew up believing that mothers were meant to be gentle forces in their children's lives, guiding hands, warm voices, soft embraces on difficult days. That belief crumbled slowly over the years, chipped away by harsh comments, cold silences, and the constant reminder that I was never good enough for the woman who gave me life. But the day she handed me that cup of tea, that was the day the last piece shattered beyond repair. My mother, Mara, had always been sharp-tongued. She had a way of turning compliments into criticisms and kindness into a transaction. If I won an award, she would say, "Don't get too proud. Others did better." If someone praised my looks, she'd respond, "Pretty girls lose their value quickly." She called it keeping me grounded, but looking back, it was the steady erosion of my confidence. Still, I believed she loved me, in her own difficult, bitter way. I never imagined she wished me harm. The morning it happened, the sun poured through the kitchen windows like melted gold. I was sitting at the table reviewing notes for my upcoming college scholarship interview. My mother moved around the kitchen unusually quiet. There was no lecture, no passive-aggressive sighing, no unpredictable mood swings. Just silence. It felt wrong. Then she said, "You're working too hard. Let me make you tea." My head snapped up. Mom making tea for me? That alone felt like a warning. But she smiled the softest smile I'd seen in years. It almost disarmed me. Almost. She placed the cup in front of me and said, "Drink before it gets cold." I lifted the cup, inhaling the steam. Something was off. A sharp bitterness cut through the scent of chamomile. "New brand?" I asked. She shrugged. "Just drink." The moment the tea touched my tongue, I tasted the wrongness. It was metallic, earthy, lingering. But I was too polite, too conditioned to refuse. I drank half the cup out of respect, out of habit, out of fear of upsetting her. 5 minutes later, my head felt heavy. 10 minutes later, my vision began to spin. 15 minutes later, I could barely keep myself upright. "Mom," I whispered, gripping the table, "I feel strange." Her eyes didn't widen in worry. Her hands didn't reach out to steady me. She just watched. Watched me struggle for breath. Watched my lips tremble. Watched my body collapse to the cold floor. Her silence felt louder than any scream. When I hit the ground, the last thing I saw was her stepping back, not forward. Then darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up hours later to the sterile scent of disinfectant and the rhythmic beep of hospital machines. My throat felt scraped raw. My entire body was trembling. A doctor stood beside my bed, his expression careful. "You're safe," he said gently. "You're very lucky that help arrived quickly." My voice cracked. What happened?" He hesitated. Too long. "There were toxic herbal compounds in your bloodstream, the kind used medicinally in extremely controlled amounts. But the level in your body," he exhaled, "it was no accident." My world tilted again. Someone poisoned me? He didn't say yes, but his silence confirmed everything. Before I could process the shock, I noticed the police officer standing in the corner of the room. His presence twisted my stomach. He stepped closer. "Ms. Hale, your neighbor called the ambulance after she saw you fall. She also reported seeing someone give you the cup." My heart thrashed in my chest. "Who? Who did she see?" The officer glanced at the doctor before answering. "Your mother." No words left my mouth. Just air. Shaky, painful air. "She's being brought in for questioning. We wanted to speak with you first, but you need rest." Rest? How does someone rest after hearing their mother tried to kill them? I closed my eyes, but sleep didn't come. Only memories. Years of them of her sharp criticisms, her twisted jealousy, her comparisons, her anger whenever I succeeded at something she couldn't control. The puzzle pieces clicked in horrifying clarity. I had outgrown her. I had become everything she felt she wasn't. And instead of being proud, she resented me. So much that she tried to erase me. When they questioned her, she didn't even deny it. The officer returned hours later with a stunned expression and a recording in hand. He was calm, he said. Too calm. He pressed play. My mother's voice came through. Steady, cold, emotionless. She deserved it. All my life, she made me feel small. Everyone loved her more than they loved me. She took everything that should have been mine. Everything inside me froze. The officer paused the recording and added softly, she said it without hesitation. My mother didn't cry. She didn't panic. She confessed like she was discussing burnt dinner. The trial drew attention quickly. Reporters called it the poisoned daughter case. People who once adored my mother for her community work now looked at her like she was a stranger, because she was. The woman the world admired was not the woman I lived with. Courtrooms are cold places, not physically, emotionally. When she walked in wearing handcuffs, her eyes met mine only briefly. Not with regret, not with love, with annoyance. As if I had inconvenienced her by surviving. The judge asked if she had anything to say before sentencing. She stood, shoulders straight, face unflinching. She ruined my life. I wanted mine back. The courtroom gasped. I didn't. I had run out of space for shock. She was sentenced to 25 years, no appeal. When the officers led her away, she didn't look at me again. Maybe she couldn't face what she'd done, or maybe, more terrifyingly, she didn't care. Healing wasn't a straight line. Some days I woke up shaking, remembering the taste of the tea. Some nights I cried without knowing why. I kept asking myself the same question. Why wasn't I enough for her? But that question slowly morphed into something healthier. Why did I ever think her approval mattered? I started therapy. I rebuilt my confidence piece by piece. I learned to love without fear, trust without shrinking, breathe without permission. My friends became family. My home became a sanctuary. My past became a story, not a prison. I never visited her in jail. Some people said I should. Closure, they called it. But I gained closure the moment I realized this truth. Some mothers give life. Some mothers give wounds. And some, once they show their true darkness, must be left behind so their children can step into the light. She had poison in her hands, but I found strength in my survival, and that strength became the life she could never take away from me.